four companies on this real estate industry. We have with us Diana Pisano and Colombia Legal Partners. We have Alianza Valores. We have Live Realty, Medellin, and we have Grupo Brick. We're going to be covering a bunch of topics that have emerged during these times related to real estate. So first, we're going to introduce Diana Pisano. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and guys, let me know if you guys can see it, okay? Perfect. I think you guys can see it now.
Okay, are we ready to go?
So we're going to start with Diana Pisano from Colombia Legal Partners. Diana, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I think most of you know me. I am Diana Pisano. I'm an attorney. I advise for foreigners in the real estate investment in Colombia. This is our company that wants to help every investor get a smooth process when they think their best choice is to invest with us. So we have a lot of questions, and these are questions that pop out with most of our clients during this season, which is what is it to come after the post-COVID season? What's gonna happen? The first questions would be like, will the procedures change? Is there any change on the investment process? And the answer is no. The process remained the same. You still need to open an account with Alianza Valores, the brokerage firm, to bring in your money and legalize it here for different purposes, like getting a visa, being registered as a foreign investor, and having the rights proper to the foreign investors. With your realtor, you will get to an agreement, have your term sheet done, where all of the terms and conditions of the deal are written. And then I will proceed to do the title search, to draft out the promesa or the promissory contract agreement. Then the down payments will be proceeding. Then will come the closing, and finally the registration. There's a big question. What is happening with the registration right now? Well, we have some problems because notaries have been partially closed, and this has been for a long time now, and they will not totally close, but they take turns, and these turns, they're only allowed to work 5 hours a day, so they have a lot of work and they're swamped. And plus the fact that us, the lawyers, can only move in the city when we have a number that allows us once or twice in a week to go to the notary. So it has been slowed down. And with regards to the registration office, it has been closed. And then it was open online, but it has a terrible service at this time. They have inconvenience. And for other offices that we need for the closings, like getting the non-debt certificates, in Spanish are called certificados, and paz y salvos, which are required in order to close and to sign the transfer deed. Well, their service promises that they will improve their service and that we will be able to get all of these documents online in an easier way. And that's also one of the service that registration is trying to improve as well. So the answer is no, they have not changed. Primarily it's just the delays because of everybody getting used to the new work and lifestyle. The second question that I would like to resolve for many people is what happens with the visas. Basically, the visas are not being processed now abroad Colombia. So if anybody wanted to process a visa outside Colombia, like in any consulate, it's not being done. It's being done in Colombia, yes, but the person who's requesting the visa must be in Colombia under a regular status. So that means that if you're not here you cannot start a visa process, which it's something different, and I think it's temporary. Things will get to the normal situation at some point. Migration office is closed. There's no service. So those extensions that were requested or that people wanted if they completed their 90 days or the 180 days, well, migration office had to say we will stop this and put it on hold, so because they cannot travel, okay, and we are not having services. So that means that all of the timing for you, the countdown of your days, they do run, but you will not be submitted, or you won't be fined if you are over time. That's just meanwhile. And probably they say they will be until June 30. Exactly, it's May 30 plus a month, which comes out to be more or less June 30. But things can change. I mean, this is a day-to-day regulation. So as for today, the days are, yes, they're counting, but they are not being against you. This will be over once the health emergency is terminated, not the quarantine, which is different. The quarantine, as the last information from the government, is going to be due on May 25th, but the emergency situation has not been terminated, yes. The fact that you cannot register a visa, well, it doesn't allow you either to ask for a visa. Those two processes are standby as for now. And there's something very special now in all of our requests, which is not in a decree, is just what happens when you file the submission for the visa. They're asking for an insurance that will protect this person in Colombia. And what is the extension? Well, the question is the other way. They will grant the visa for the extension of your insurance. This is temporarily. It's just because, the Colombia is trying to not to bear with the expenses of foreigners, because we only have for our Colombians, for our locals. So they're requesting an insurance. Probably these things can be proved with a Medicare certification if you have, or if you are an employee to a Colombian company, then you at least have to be enrolled to the EPS, which is the basic health insurance, or if you have a private insurance as well, will work. And the last thing that I want to highlight is what changes have been in the lease contracts. The lease contracts do have a very specific protection now for tenants, and no terminations are allowed. If the contract terminates during this lockdown, then it will be extended until June 30. No increase on the rents, they're not allowed. They're also prohibited a penalty clause for the late payment, and there's no evictions. They cannot kick you out of your condo. Settlements are pretty much encouraged, and this is what the government wants to do, is promote and force people, or make people have a settlement like, okay, I'm lowering you part of the rent, I'm giving you more time to pay, I can anticipate a termination. So those situations will allow that not only the tenant but the landlord can also have some income, because everybody lives on the incomes of the lease when that's their business. Finally, the lockdown, as the last information, is for May 25th. It's going to be a gradual opening, as everybody knows, depending on some activities. We still have to maintain all of the preventions and the health recommendations. Local flights are closed. Probably they will be reopened by the end of this May month. And as for international flights, probably it would be by the end of the semester, probably by June 30. Okay. If there's any questions, we will have a brief space at the end of everybody's speech. So I will be more than glad to resolve any comment. Thank you, all my guests, and thank you, Juan Diego. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Diana. Please go ahead if you guys have any questions right now for Diana as it relates to anything that she has talked or anything that you want to add that may be of importance for everyone. We would really appreciate it.
Diana, I'm sorry. I have a quick question for you. You talked a little bit about the changes in the insurance, and I didn't catch the part about the difference for foreigners now. Like, what is different with the health insurance? Was that what you were talking about?
Yes, this is because the beginning of March, our visa submissions for our client, they requested, the officers in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs requested an insurance, a health insurance. So basically, if you are a retiree, then you would be, or you have Medicare, then we might use a certification from Medicare as the coverage, international coverage will be here in Colombia. And for specific cases, we were requested for a minimum coverage of 70,000 USD here. This sounds like a bit crazy, but since all the visa processes are in standby, I cannot answer you exactly what is happening. I don't even know if they are sure about what they're requesting. But we have to think about that maybe an insurance will be one more request on the checklist for the final visa warrant.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for yours.
Okay.
I have a quick.
I think.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Hi.
I have a quick question for you, and this is kind of open to anybody. I'm just curious as your thoughts on when you might think international flights will go back and forth, say from the United States or from anywhere back and forth into Colombia. I'm just trying to gauge. I'm in Colombia right now, but I want to go back to the United States, but I want to be able to come back, and check on my property and that type of thing. And, I've heard different reports that it could be September, October 2021. Just your thoughts. I know nobody really knows, but maybe your thoughts.
As I mentioned before, I think that international flights will be gradually released by the end of the semester, probably starting July 1st. National flights or local flights will be probably starting after the lockdown is terminated. But yes, you have the response. We have no guarantee, and we must be aware that every single day there's new decrees that are changing the laws and changing the permits and changing the dates. So there's not an exact date that I can tell you, and I wouldn't be responsible if I said, okay, that's for September. We don't know exactly. We don't know.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Courtney.
Hi, I'm in Valencia, Spain, and my brother is in my apartment back in Medellin. He had a flight out just before they canceled or just after they canceled the international flight. So his visa is long past. When it's lifted, does he have to go back to the migration first, or can he book like a flight a week after and just go to the airport and they'll let him through due to the circumstances?
No, they will not. Since all of the extensions are postponed. There's somebody that has a microphone on. Can you please turn it off? Hello?
It's just me, I think. I'm out on a rooftop. I'm in a hospital in Valencia, Spain.
Oh, okay.
I kept it
I'm
off
sorry.
until I had to talk. I can turn it off again while you're talking.
Okay. We don't know exactly. I don't have the answer for that. The times are being suspended, and again, but when the quarantine is over, then and the migration office is reopened and online, you can do the permission if they do request it. Because as for now, what the government says is we have all this, there's like it's frozen. So that means that if you are in the 90 days or in the 180 days, it's like, okay, you're over because you stayed here, but you were not counting as if you needed a different permission. Okay, but again, the answer is every single day there's new rules, so we cannot, what I'm saying today can't change tomorrow or in a month because of specific regulations that they might request.
Okay, so I'm going to tell him that the safest bet is once the lockdown is lifted to go right to migration and check with them.
Well, he doesn't even have to go to migration, that he can do it online.
Well, he can't because he doesn't speak Spanish.
Well, we can help him.
Okay, somebody will help him. Thanks very much.
All right,
Okay,
thank you, Courtney.
Okay.
Hi, Diana.
Yes, hello.
Hi, my name is Gerald. I just had a quick question too. With the insurance requirement for the visa, is that only medical or also personal liability?
No, medical.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions, or Juan Diego, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for all your questions. Really valuable. Okay, let's go ahead with Alianza Valores. Felipe Chavez and Angela Patricia Sanchez are with us. They're going to speak about exchange rate. They're going to speak about the financial world right now and how is the Colombian economic looking. So please introduce yourselves, guys.
Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for being here present with us. My name is Felipe Chavez. I work in Alianza Valores, and I work with Angela, my coworker.
Hey, hello. This is Angela Sanchez. I can see here in this list of people some friends, good friends here, and good customers. So for the rest of the people, we are the team in charge of Alianza Valores and to help you to bring the money to Colombia. Okay, Pipi, go ahead.
Okay, so first, where is the dollar going? I don't know, Juan, if I can show like a screen that I have.
Of course, absolutely. I'll stop presenting and you can go ahead, okay?
Yeah, just for this time, and then the other question you can continue, okay?
Perfect, perfect.
Everybody's watching, looking at the screen?
Not yet. See if you had confirmed the... there you go. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so again, good afternoon. So basically, initially, we're going to speak where is the dollar going? As adding about what Diana said, the virus and everything is something that it's unexpected. The economy doesn't know specifically what is going to happen, and furthermore, or at least we have forecasts regarding possible movement. It's important to analyze first regarding subjects as employment, growth, the bank rates, also with the currencies. Important to see that. In Colombia, we are expecting, to be honest, that we will have possible recessions or a recession or bad data or hard movements in the economy as we have the unemployment going up. We had the unemployment rate just went up to 17%. So we are expecting also to grow a little bit more because there are a lot of independent workers that are not like working in an office and receiving a salary, that they work day by day, entrepreneurs that will hurt the economy a little bit. So basically, we are expecting on the second quarter, third quarter, the unemployment rate, to raise a little bit more. Besides that, the central bank, the inflation will go down. Actually, the 5th of this month just came, and it came with a value of 3.51%. It is the lowest since 2019. So you see that the economies already start showing how we say this, start showing like bad data. So initially, besides that, we'll have to see first analyze what's happening in Colombia and what is happening in the rest of the world. We have to revise to see the panorama of the dollar, what's happening with the dollar, revise also United States. Tomorrow, United States will have the employment situation completely. They are expecting the unemployment rate to be around 16%. People will start to see what is going to happen. Besides that, the growth. We're seeing that initially in Colombia, the growth as a lot of people is not working, and a lot of factories will maybe go bankruptcy if they weren't like covered or having a lot of cash available, liquidity available. They will be hurt. So we are seeing that the growth can also drop. But besides that, for you, as let's say, if you're planning to invest, it's also good because, for example, looking at the real estate side, you might see opportunities and opportunities regarding prices, because as we think, there are a lot of people that will lose their jobs, and besides that, they won't be able to pay, for example, the credit, the equity loan, or the credit or the loan that they request at the bank to pay for the property. So we might see prices in the property dropping. So that will be an opportunity regarding the real estate. Now with the currency, the dollar, for example, today, when to give you an idea, in the first screen, you'll see movements during this year. 2020 January, this is the closing price and maximum. Look how the dollar is been like increasing, and then with the virus and the pandemic, the movement that it has. On February, it maximum was 3,500. In March, went up to 4,200. In April, 4,100. And now May, maximum so far, 4,000. What I'm trying to say is that the economy is moving, everything is changing. We are expecting not good data, like I said. So maybe the dollar will have a push up, will move a little bit up after these movements. But now we're seeing that it will move in a lateral range, showing minimum levels, specifically even lower. For example, look at this screen, you'll see 3 months movement of the dollar. You see that it's in a lateral range. It can even reach 3,900, 38, like these levels, 38.60, and maximum is showing here approximately around 4,000, 4,020. It's hard to predict something unless an economical data appears correctly, or if it's a bad data, we'll see the effects and the movement right away in the dollar. Important. Recently, United States, the stock market has been like breathing, going up a little bit, waiting for data. So we are seeing that the dollar will stay stable or move in this lateral range. Meanwhile, the stocks are breathing or trying to look a level up. But it's not there is no warranty that the market will stay in these levels, because, for example, we don't have a solution yet for the virus. Also the oil, that is something that hasn't been speaking about it, but oil is really important too. The oil went down to really low levels, and it get to a point in where no one wanted to receive the barrels. So there were a lot of offer of oil, so that's why the oil went down. Now oil is recovering. Today made the maximum in the last. It made a new maximum. It seems the dropped of 26.7, the WTI. So we need to see regarding the technical trend, or the trend of the dollar. We need to analyze. Besides like I said, besides the economy, unemployment, and that, we'll need to see what is going to happen, for example, with the oil. It doesn't mean that if the oil goes up, dollar go down. Maybe yes, but as there is an uncertainty in the market regarding what is going to happen, it's not like that clear to read. It's not like easy to read. Oh yes, it will continue going up, but we are seeing, like I said, that the dollar will move in the next couple of weeks in a lateral range, lower levels, in my opinion, 38.50. That's a little bit low that I put it. There are market analysts saying 39.11, but in my opinion, 38.50 can reach that level, and above initially 4,050. That's what we see on these couple of months. Then we will have to see what economical data appears, what happens regarding, for example, the election also in the United States. There are a lot of aspects that we cannot like calculate easily and put it like on a screen. But now, besides the oil, like I said, oil it's recovering. So meanwhile, oil is recovering. We're expecting that it will try to stabilize also, because as they are being moving a lot, all the assets will try to look to a stable price with a certain calm at this time, expecting news and what's going to happen. So oil, we're expecting that it will recover maybe the 30, 35, even 40, but besides that, we don't see that far. Also important to analyze, besides economy, oil, also important the currency, the other currencies of the region. In the screen, you can see here down, you'll see at this left side, the black side with it has the Brazilian real, and then Chilean peso, Canadian dollar, Mexican, this is Colombian peso, the euro, Great Britain pounds, Japanese, and the yuan. Important. When you are going to analyze also the dollar, besides oil and economy, you have to analyze the movement of the currencies in the region. So Latin America, if you see here, in Brazil is something else. You cannot like classify Brazil and the emerging currency all in one basket. Yes, you can, because they are all emerging currencies, but Brazil moves differently. So we have to analyze, in my opinion, a lot the Mexican peso and the Brazilian real. If you see Brazilian real, this is something crazy, in my opinion, 2% up. This is maximum ever. So we cannot see why it's like this. And the rest of the region, if you see Chile and Mexico, are going down. So in this case, the dollar in Brazil, it's like we were here, to give you an idea, above 42,000, above 4,200. It's like rocket high in Brazil. But the rest of the economy, the rest of the currencies in the region, if you see Chile and Mexico, are going down. It means like the local currency, the Chilean peso, it's trying to recover terrain against the dollar. So what I'm trying to say is, like, you see this and you see the dollar gaining value in Brazil, but in the rest of the economy losing value, exactly like what is happening in Colombia, that it's trying to look for a technical level in the middle. So to finish this third question, and sorry if I hasn't been like really clear, or hopefully I've been, this couple of months we're expecting a lateral range, or couple of weeks, a lateral range, waiting for economical data. Like I said, we see the range 38.50 above 4,050 approximately. It's a lot, because around the 4,000 you see a lot of movements there, and also around 39.50. Today the dollar closed at 39.20. So that's the first question. The second question, just give me one moment, please. Okay, Juan, you can continue presenting the
Okay, thank you.
screen, please, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, perfect. The second question to Alianza was how to wire funds to Medellin. For those of you guys who haven't done it before, or how is it going right now about wiring funds to Medellin or to Colombia?
Okay, so Angela, do you want to give?
Yes, I will take it.
Thank you.
Okay, so to wire the funds to Medellin, so the first step is, of course, to open the account at Alianza, and for that, we will be asking you for some documents that can prove the origin of your money. Being said that, you have to demonstrate which is the source of your money, and to demonstrate that, you have to give us some certificates or your income tax or some documents that each customer is a different case. So it can take more or less 1 to 2 weeks, but sometimes it can take more because it depends obviously of the velocity of the customers to send us the complete information. If we don't have the complete information, we cannot begin the process. And so we have had some cases in which we are taking more time because we have to wait until we have the complete information. Our compliance area in Colombia is very strong. So this is why we are very strict with that. But making that process, you will be in the universe of your investments, because in that case, we will send you the welcome with the complete information about the account that you will have to hit to bring your money. We have an account in New York at the Citibank, and your transfer will be done like a domestic wire transfer. After that, once we can see the dollars here in our Citibank, we will notify you that we got the dollars, and you will have 7 days, according to the market, to decide which will be the best day to convert your dollars using your best price or the best price in the market at that time. It's very important to say that when you are converting the dollars, you have to report it to the central bank, the Banco de la República. And to do that, you will have to use some legal forms. And our advice always is to use the legal services. Maybe Diana can help you with that, Camilo, because you have to report to the central bank what are you going to do with the money here. If you are going to purchase a home or a house or an apartment, you have to report them that you are doing that activity. If you are, for example, to invest in a company here, you have to report it. And according to that, you will have to give to the Alianza, and Alianza will be having to report that information to the central bank about what are you going to do. Just in, for example, in the case that you are bringing the money to purchase an apartment with Juan Diego, for example, or with Lorena, and you will have to give us a copy of the promesa. So the first question that I can imagine that you can have in your minds is, okay, can I bring the money just taking advantage of the rate and without to find any property, or I have to wait just to find it and send the dollars? So the answer is you have to wait. As soon as you can find the property, just you can proceed. But before that, the best process is to open the account with time enough, and then as soon as you are ready with the account, you can send the wire transfer, being sure that you have chosen the property already.
It's true.
Yes,
like
Felipe.
I want to add something, Angela. Thank you, Angelita. It's true. Like Angela is saying, it's important, in our opinion, to have a plan regarding what are you going to do. For example, if you're looking for a property and investment, you ask like one, okay, I like this, I like that, the legal service, Diana. So it's important, or no, I'm going to invest in something else or inject capital to a company. So it's important to have a plan in order to start like moving forward to that plan, so it will be easier for you to visualize what you want, because sometimes you start like, I'm sorry for shooting all the places like this, but then at the end you see, okay, no, I didn't want that. So it's important in our opinion, to take time and analyze what do you want to do in Colombia and what are you looking for.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so once you have decided the property and you have decided that you have the account ready, you can send your wire and we will proceed to convert the dollars at the market rate. So the dollar market is working between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. And each minute you are seeing a different rate between the bid and the offer. So we will give you the best rate in that moment. In the last minute, we will give you the screen price. And of course, we are taking standard fees. Once you have decided to work with us, we will send you all the complete information by email. Once you have converted the dollars, in the same day, you have to send us the forms, those forms that I spoke you before, to the central bank. And being said that, Diana can help you to make that forms, and in the same day they will send you the form already filled out, and with that form you have to sign it and send it us again, just to report it to the central bank. Alianza will be in charge to make that. For the rest, one day after this operation, it means T+1. T from today, +1, it means tomorrow. You will be having your pesos in your account ready to make any payment to the seller, to the property, to the Diana, to Juan Camilo, to any other person that can need those payments immediately. Alianza can do the payments by check or by wire transfers. Just right now, by the contingency, because we are in quarantine, we are being more conservative with the checks. It's more difficult to get the signatures and all that kind of details. But as soon as it can finish, we will return to the previous work, making checks and wire transfers. So after that, you can decide what to do with the Colombian pesos. I hope that, I don't know if we can add more information, or Juan, if you want to go to the third question.
Okay, so the third question that we have is, how can I invest my utilities from my rental property? Okay, I'm going to add something. What I said regarding the plan, it's also along with this. You can purchase a property as a rental or for living, or besides that, you can also, like, you might want to diversify your portfolio. So maybe I want to invest in Colombian pesos, in companies, or in Colombian investments, as we are a brokerage firm. So we can offer you at this time the Colombian government. So we can offer you investments depending on your conditions in Colombia. Meaning that the Colombian government is really stringent regarding deciding regarding the foreigners and the residents. So, for example, if you're a foreigner, you have to wire funds, use a different register. Those forms that I am speaking of are the legal forms that Angela said that Diana can assist you with. So those forms are, if you're buying a property, the form will be for buying a property. If it's for rental or for living, that's up to you. But besides that, you can also wire funds to invest in Colombia. There are other options besides a rental property or buying a property. You can invest in other companies that you see, a brewer, or other options that you see around, especially in Medellin, and also products of Alianza. Alianza can offer you investment products, like I said, depending on your conditions. If you are foreigner at this time, we can offer you investment options like mutual funds. In those mutual funds, in our opinion, those are like the best option at this time, because it will allow you to have the funds liquid and you are receiving a good yield. So if you are, for example, purchasing a property for rentals and you are receiving rents in Colombia, where can you deposit those rents? In one of the investment options that Alianza can offer you. We can offer you mutual funds, a conservative money market, a money market fund that will give you between 2 to 3%. We can also offer you 30 days funds that are classified as high risk, but are a really good option, as it has a really good diversification, 50% in assets classified by the Colombian regulator, and other 50% in non-traditional assets like lawsuits to the government and other interesting products that make a good mix in this fund. This fund is giving you around 5 to 6%. So basically, you can invest in Colombia besides the rental, or invest the rentals in one of our investment funds to collect interest over the funds. Alianza can offer you the online web page where you can see online your options, your investment options, like a money market or mutual funds. And from there, you can also do payments online to Colombian accounts. So it will be used also as a Colombian account for you to do banking and receive interest, and also deposits coming from any source in Colombia. Also, we offer you, besides this for foreigners, if you are a resident or a local, we can offer you other products that we can get in the market. But in our opinion at this time, the mutual funds are really good options, as we are having a really good portfolio manager that can easily take decisions regarding the recent movements of the economy. We have one fund that, as with the recent movements, all the yields in the market went down. We have one fund that at the end of the March recovered completely the movement, and it's one of the best funds recognized in the industry. So to answer this question, you can, besides invest your rentals in our fund, you can also look for other options to invest, and we can be the vehicle to receive payments and also interest. I don't know, Angela, if you want to add something.
No, in general, I think that you have said everything. So I think that our time is we have a few minutes, no more information for now. So I think that for the questions, it's better to have more time now.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Angela and Felipe. Thank you. And guys, if you have any questions regarding Alianza, their products, their services, or anything related to what they have said, this is the time for you guys to go ahead, please.
Hi, guys. I'm just wondering what you think is going to happen to interest rates in Colombia in the short term, right after everything opens, because a lot of people are going to be hurting. I'm wondering if they're going to lower them substantially for the short term after the quarantine to help business owners maintain their business.
Yes, I can say, because since our central bank has, as all the central banks in the world, they have to get lower rates, Colombia will be making the same. So, of course, we will be going down in the next few months.
Yes, it's true, Kurt. We're seeing that the actual interest rate right now the bank is 3.25. Market is expecting maybe a drop around 2.5, 2.7. That are other saying 2.5. So yes, the central bank is there ready for action regarding what's going to happen in the economy.
Thank you. Anyone else before we continue?
Yes, excuse me. Can you tell us about the same thing for mortgage rates? Do you think mortgage rates are going to go down?
Normally, if you have already a mortgage here, I think that the banks will not touch that rates. But for the new ones, I think yes. I think that for the next months, the phenomenon will be that the other banks can purchase those mortgage between all the banks. and maybe you can find a good offer for your credit. But for now, yes, as the central bank is taking down the rates, and we are going to 2%. Of course, all the new mortgage will be having lower rates.
But the current mortgage rate is about 8 to 10%, isn't it?
A little bit more, I think. Yes, you can find more than 10% even.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Joe, maybe you?
Hey, how you doing? Felipe, how you doing?
Hey, Joe, doing fine, and you?
How are you? Yeah, really well. Thank you to yourself, Angela, everyone else, Alianza. Yeah, much appreciated for all your help. The question that I have is, I've still got some money that I wanted to bring over from the UK. I'm just about to have the bank account sorted. How does it work in terms of, I've got my residency now. How does it work in terms of bringing money over from the UK? I'm still not sure whether I'm going to invest or whether it will be from day-to-day living. Obviously, the project's changed a little bit because of the situation, and tourism's going to take a massive hit. So what's the best way of bringing in money from the UK?
Okay, so Joe, as you said that you were getting the residency, let's say if you get the residency and you are already classified as a resident, and if Diana doesn't, and if Diana is agree with me, you can use a different form that is not like as a foreigner. So that will easily allow you to see what are your plans. Meaning, you are opening also a bank account, like you said, so you can wire the funds. You are not like subject or tied to an investment because you are already resident. So you can park the funds in one of our funds, for example, in a money market. If you're seeing that maybe in a couple of days I will define an investment, so you want to collect the interest meanwhile you look for an investment, and if you need it easily, the money market allow you to withdraw at the other day, so you can put it there momentaneously. Or maybe Felipe, I will wait 30 days, 90 days, and we can look for other investment that will fit your expectations. Or if those are not like the final investment, at least you can collect interest, invest your funds in good AAA funds. Meanwhile, you take the time and look for the investment that you want. Also, you can wire the funds, and if you want to transfer all those directly, like you said, to your bank account and having it there ready for anything that you want.
Okay, cool, perfect. Thank you.
Con mucho gusto.
Excuse me. There's something. Foreign investors do not get the status or not eligible for a visa if their investment is in financial products. So now that you have all your documents and you have a visa, probably you have the cedula as well, and you don't have the investments that are required to be considered a foreign investor. And well, it means that if you had a real estate and you sold it, or you had shares from a company and you no longer have them, and you turn all of your investments into financial products, in the must world, you should notify and say, okay, I'm no longer a foreign investor, because the law specifically says that if your only investment is in financial products, you are not eligible for a visa. So in the must world, you should advise or return the visa. And well, it doesn't happen. Honestly, it doesn't happen because there's not like a tight communication between all the entities, but it should be done. It's not that they're going to handcuff you and, just because you don't have the investment. But in order to keep and maintain the status of a foreign investor, you should be holding your investment either in real estate or any of the other circumstances, but not just because you are an investor in financial products.
And Diana, as also as Joe said, as he's recently getting like his residency, it will be easier for him like to wire funds, register as a resident, and invest in anything that he wants. As already he's resident, it will be easier for him.
Well, yeah, when he brings the money, if he can bring the money, if it doesn't have a target, like to qualify for the foreign investment, but wants to do it in any other product, he can bring them, hold them there, and whenever he makes up his mind, we can switch the forms and give the proper form according to the investment that he is about to execute. Is that the question?
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions to Alianza before we move forward? All right. For the interest of time, I think we're going to start accelerating a little bit on what we have left. I'm going to be the next one to talk. My name is Juan Diego Rodriguez. For those of you who know me, I see some familiar faces on this webinar. And for those of you who don't know me, I work in Grupo Brick. We're a specialized sales real estate company. We help, our market is mostly locals, but we also have helped foreigners invest in real estate in the past as well in Medellin. So yeah, to start, one of the reasons we decided to do this is decided to do this space was because we were hearing a lot of rumors and we were hearing a lot of data. And I think one of the problems that we've been facing over this situation is the overload of information. Many of them fake news, many of them assumptions from people not even related to these industries, and that obviously overwhelms anyone. So we decided to do this space to gather people that have been diligently looking into the data and seeing if they can draw any conclusions and informed conclusions. So one of the first questions that we've been hearing the most, or we've been asked the most, if real estate prices have been dropping sharply due to the pandemic. Well, to start, I have to say that it's very, very early to assess that situation and that question, or to answer that. And the reason for that is because our activity has been pretty much completely paused. We don't have the means or the processes that many of you guys have in your home countries, where you can do a lot of things online. Our process is still very rudimentary, and you still need to mobilize to some places. So in the interest of most people, they want to stay home. But what we can tell you right now is that prices, a Grupo Brick, for example, we have a large number of properties, and we are in touch. We have a system to be in touch with our sellers as much as we can, and we've been asking them, do you want to make any correction to your price? Is there anything that we need to know that has happened recently that could affect the price of your properties? And the answer for them has been mostly no, right? I guess for right now, people are still waiting to see and to digest more economical data to see what decisions they're going to make. Another reason I see for prices of being just steady and not moving anywhere, neither up or down, is that most of our people, most of our employers or workforce still have a job. We don't have unemployment insurance like you guys do in the U.S., so the labor market has not been seen an effect yet. On most of them has not seen an effect yet. But we can deduce from right now that maybe some of the price changes will be due to the fact that many people in Medellin are independent. So if people owning homes and they see a need for liquidity, maybe what they're going to seek is go look for those properties to sell. One of the reasons we predict properties to not drop more than, not even 10%, is the fact that most of the market in Colombia, or specifically in Medellin, is underleveraged. So that means that most people own very little as compared to other people that get loans to buy properties in other countries. As you know, people here usually have to put 30% down to own a property. And actually, that percentage is actually not so common for most people. We've been seeing increase in it, but most people will buy a home when they have at least 50% to put down. So as a result, what we see is that sellers say, maybe this is not a good time to sell, and they pull it out of the market. It's very tough for the level of leverage that we have in the market to see the prices drop so much that properties are underwater, like you saw in 2007, 2009 in the US, for example, where people would just say, you know, I drop it, I leave it to the bank to deal with it. And that was the easiest solution. In order for that to happen, properties here will have to drop at least 40% for you guys to start seeing that. Another good sign is yesterday we had a meeting with a bank, and their processes for mortgages applications have been steady, even though the materialization of those processes are still on hold because, you know, again, we need some physical contact, some physical signature, but there are still people looking to buy. And another thing is construction cost is going to go up. Obviously, these companies will have to adhere to the protocols that the government will install. So, you know, these companies will have a lot more cost, and as a result, maybe they are not going to construct as more in Colombia. They're built as much in Colombia, or they're going to have their utilities go down, their yield go down, or the prices will have to go up and, you know, bring the prices of the used property up a little bit more. So we have not seen a recent big drop on the prices as opposed to what I have been hearing a lot. We took the time, and this is why we're doing it kind of late in the pandemic now, to make sure that we ask people, to make sure that we ask what they're feeling. And, you know, we can expect that some people are going to pull out of the market to sell. And as a result, even though demand is going down, you know, supply could go down as well. At least supply of good stuff will go down as well, and maybe maintain the prices without a drastic change. The other questions that we have been receiving recently is, what are the opportunities that we see emerge from this pandemic in Medellin? Well, I think one of the biggest opportunities that the fact that a lot of places in Medellin and people that picked to live in Medellin picked because, you know, they considered it a better living place than where they were before. Another thing is the fact that people or companies are considering remote working more accepted, will allow you, a lot of you guys work in the States or other countries where salaries are much higher, to live cheaply in Medellin, live on a better standard of life, and continue to receive that US or USD or Euro salary. That could be a big opportunity for people that are looking to live outside of the city, for example, to buy a big piece of land, build the home of your dreams, and continue to work in the companies that you used to work before as well. Also, the fact that for what is happening right now, I think a lot of you guys who live in apartments or even if you live in house, I think there's a lot of things that you had dream of having on your houses to cope with this situation. Home was home before, but now home is office, home is gym, home is spa, home is like pet store. You know, your home have converted into something very important, and I think the market eventually will start to price that in, the fact of prices of home. Another thing that I'm really glad about, and I think I see that as an opportunity, is more and more Colombians are starting to realize that they need to diversify their portfolio of products and start to be more competitive in the market with things other than oil. Oil dropping and being at the price that it's being right now, I think the Colombian people will start moving to other things. I'm very, very excited about the future in terms of technology and development here in Colombia for other companies. Many of my friends work in international companies, so that means many of them are receiving higher salaries than they used to receive before, and now they have more power of acquisition, you know, to buy things. So the diversification of the economy, and the fact that people could have a lot more professional and white collar and blue collar jobs, that will mean that people will have more opportunities to buy things later. It also means that companies that are looking to cut down on expenses in other countries could look at Colombia for their standard of living and cheap standard of living to invest here and have some workforce. I think we saw some posts on the groups that many of you guys follow. Amazon hiring a bunch of people to do customer service from here. So that's very exciting to see what could happen in the future. And the other question, which for me is the most important, and it has a lot to say, and actually was asked before on this meeting today, was when will people be allowed to come back to Medellin? I think a lot of you guys who left Medellin or left Colombia because of the pandemic, that's 100% understandable. I think that if I was in that condition, I would also go to my hometown. But a lot of you guys who are still here do not want to leave until you know when you can come back, and that's a good sign. Obviously, we have been hearing a lot about rental prices going down, but that's absolutely obvious because a lot of people are not here anymore that were to be here, or they have to leave. But I think as soon as the international flights open, people that were previously interested in coming, I think that interest will not go anywhere, especially because of this handling of the situation that this city has done with the pandemic. I think in the eyes of the international community has been mostly positive. So there's a lot to draw from these questions that, from the three that I just exposed, is the most frequently asked. When can I come back? And that's a really, really good sign. Okay, that's for me. If you guys have any questions in terms of prices, or anything that I have covered, I'm happy. Or if anyone want to add something, that will be super, super beneficial.
Yeah, Juan, I have a question.
Yep.
The property we purchased before, we did that with full equity or our own money. The question is, if we have interest in buying another property in Medellin, to put in equity of, let's say, 75, if there's a way to mortgage, to finance the rest through mortgage. Yeah. Depending on if that's possible at all, or if it's requires a certain requirement on a type of visa or something like that.
Yeah. So what we have seen in the past, and this probably dates back to 8 years ago, is that 8 years ago, Colombian banks would say, if you don't have Colombian income, if you don't do money here, we can't help you, with a mortgage. Even if you only want to, lend 50%, even 20%. Some people just wanted a little bit of money. And as a result, that was very frustrating for most of our investors. Recently, we've been hearing that a lot of people that are married with Colombian citizens, or people that have residency here and work here, are now being taken into consideration in order to get their loans approved. So, for example, if you make $5,000 a month, that amount that you make in the U.S. Or in another country, and even if you're not a citizen of Colombia or a resident in Colombia, that amount will be taken into consideration in order to approve your loan. So, but for now, someone who is 100% a citizen of another country and does not have a legal status here in Colombia cannot lend money from the Colombian banking system. I predict that in the future, in some 2 to 3 years, that's going to change. Especially because most of the loans that they're looking to do are not high risk, because their loan to value is lower than what they offer here. That's going to change, and hopefully people can access those loans. And actually, at the same time, the rates could go down, and then it will be more interesting for you guys to do it, because right now the current rates, no one wants to lend money in Colombia because you have to pay 10 to 12% on a mortgage. So that's very difficult. Most of our investors either work, they buy cash, or they do equity loans in their countries with their properties that they own, and they bring cheap money to Colombia and make good return, good split on their money.
Juan.
Yep.
I have echo. Is it okay with everybody?
We see a double video feed from you.
From me?
Yeah.
Right there?
Oh, I think, Diana, you're connected in either 2 tabs or 2 devices. Yeah. I can kick one of you out.
Just keep one. It's a brief information. I know the Da Vivienda, which is, I'm good now?
Yeah, I think I kicked one of you, one of your clones. Yeah.
Okay. What I know that Da Vivienda, which is a super big bank here in Colombia, has been preparing for the past 8 months or so, even more. How could they grant loans to foreigners, 100% foreigners? The issue is, like Juan Diego said, is that they do not consider part of their incomes, whatever they have in the US. So they are considering it like giving the loans, not only because of what they have, not only because of their assets and incomes in the US. I mean, yeah, in Colombia, I'm sorry. They want to consider what they have abroad and give us a very high value to that. The reason specifically for that is a legal issue. And that's where I come to, is like, okay, let's think about the worst situation where you can't make the payment here in Colombia, and if there is a mortgage on the property, which is what makes it a safe loan, as Juan Diego said, that's going to be easy. But if for some reason there's not a way to foreclose the property, how could they go and initiate a legal sue against you in the US? So that turns out to be very complicated for the banks, and that's like the risk, the legal risk is like what they are measuring, and that's what they have them stuck in just letting it roll to the foreigners. But I know that a big bank, which is Da Vivienda, is cooking this special loans for foreigners. Unfortunately, we came to this time because they were prepared for March. So I don't know how it's going to change, but they do have it there cooking.
Well,
Okay.
what happens here is that the bank has a hold on your property as a whole, even if 20% is financed, and it's not backed by funds that you have internationally, but by funds that are generated here locally. So, for example, if you have 3 properties here and each generate $3,000 a month, that's your income on which they base your ability to pay back the financing.
Exactly.
If you fold on your mortgage, which is 20% of that new property, the bank takes the whole house and sells it for whatever they can sell it fast, quickly, and take their part, and you get whatever is left.
Exactly.
This process are very, very slow here, and they could take 3 years. So again, it's the legal risk and the enforceability of our laws, and that's what they always measure, and that's what keeps them on hold for the foreigners to access a loan.
I think one of the most important things to watch is obviously that diversification that I was speaking about could also bring some financial companies to operate in Colombia as well. And obviously, you know, the rates here for mortgages are really interesting for any bank anywhere. So we have seen in the past a lot of banks buying, for example, bonds from that other financial institutions held in Colombia, and they will buy it. So, you know, that could bring the interest rates lower as well, and could bring the ability for people to invest who are not Colombians.
Hi, my name is David, and so I heard that one of the differences between buying real estate, if you have a permanent residency versus being there on a tourist visa, is the ability to get a loan. What other differences are there between what you can do if you're on a tourist visa versus having permanent resident status? Because I do know people on tourist visas who've bought properties or who have done long-term rentals, but I'm not familiar with what the differences are.
I think
no. Let me make that clear. You do not need a visa to make an investment in Colombia. A foreign investor with a tourist permit can purchase any property or make an investment in buying shares of a company or even setting up its own company. The fact that you are a resident or not and depends on what is your investment, depends on you having and processing the visa, because that's not automatic just because you have the investment, and doing a further step, which is registering the visa and getting a card, which is the foreign ID called the cédula de extranjería, which would be, it gives you ability for certain things like getting a health insurance in Colombia, for example.
I think,
but you do not need a visa to invest, so it's not going to make any difference. But definitely the banks do, and by mistake, because that's not the legal interpretation. Foreigners identify themselves in Colombia with their passports or a cédula if they have it. But if they don't have it, they will fully identify themselves with a passport. That's why we in our office in Colombian Legal Partners, we are able to open just normal savings account for a foreigner that doesn't even have the visa. Okay, so that's a misinformation going around, but at the bottom line is that you do not need a visa to make an investment, and you definitely do not need a visa or a cédula to open a local savings account. Does that answer your question?
Sure. And just one follow-up question. I think it's outside the area of today's webcast, but perhaps you can point me in the correct direction to go. Is I've heard an awful lot of conversation about that there's serious tax implications for an American or other foreigner who stays in Colombia over 180 days. And I've been trying to find good sources of information to understand how that might impact me if I was to decide to stay in Colombia over 180 days. Can any of you point me in the right direction to get more information on that?
Yes, you can come to my office. The answer is that if you stay over 180 days, you become a tax resident, and then you can be. I mean, you have to have the support of an accountant to see if you have to file taxes, giving you a yes or a no, and if you have to pay taxes, yes or no, and if you have to pay taxes, what would be the rate that will be applied. But that's like just the highlight. But yes, you can address you to my office, and I can advise you that.
Okay, great. I'll contact you offline, Diana. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Diana. Thank you, guys. Anyone else have a question before we move to our last section, which are rentals with Lorena and her group? Okay, let's introduce you, Lorena and John Duque. Go ahead, guys.
Hey guys, this is Lorena. How are you? I'm the founder of Live Realty. I see some of the owners here: Carlos, Courtney. Okay, we've been in business for 6 years now, and we're managing now around over 40 properties, and that's been increasing every single day. Most of the owners that were with Life so far, they're now looking to move with us. I mean, because we work hard to give a great and honest service. And also, we also help selling and purchasing properties, just like Break Group. And to answer your questions, I'm gonna have John, my right hand and partner.
Hey, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm John Duque. I've been with Live Realty now for about a year, and in this last year, we've grown exponentially. Very happy to join her, and we're making a great team. I've been in property management 13 years now. So just let's start with the first question. Have rental prices dropped? Well, obviously, due to the low amount of people flying in and a lot of the ones that were currently here leaving, yes, we've seen in certain properties a slight drop in prices. Obviously, if there's a current lease going on, you could either negotiate it with your current landlord or agency. And many people have seen bargains going all around. So yes, prices have dropped around 20 to 30 to 40% at the most. Will that continue as international flights are are not coming in, I think prices will continue on good discounts. So that's what we expect in the current rental prices. Next question. Is the market still rentable? I think there was a mistake there on the question. So is this market still good for an investor? I think so. If we saw what happened in 2008, 2009 with the crash in the U.S. in terms of real estate and all that, there seems to be cycles. Those cycles tend to be every 10, 15 years, and it helps clean up a lot of the economy, of the market. And from there, we could start growing upward. I think the people that are well organized, well structured, that have the energy, the wishes to grow and to continue in this type of business and market, I think there's a great opportunity for everybody. So we expect the not for now, but slowly things to start to recover. Next question. How is it in the long run for the rental market with the current changes? Well, we're going to see things obviously change because of the pandemic, right? We have one of the biggest changes might be nightlife, restaurants, that type of stuff. But we also see a lot of our clients that are gentlemen and people that have been coming for years to Colombia, right? And they love just simply coming here. They feel at home here. They have friends. They have a life here. So if we think that because of certain sectors of the economy not being open, that might drive away some tourists, it might. But we still see a lot of people asking, when are flights being open again? When could we be down there? I got guys almost every day hitting me up on WhatsApp asking me, John, when can we come back? I need to be back there. I want to be back there. So it's very positive. So to put it short, I think we'll be slowly recovering and we'll see some positive things coming out of this. We have to adapt and we have to make the best of the situation. So we have all the wills and energy to confront what's coming forward. So if anybody has any questions right now, I'll be glad to help and assist.
Hi, John. I have a quick question for you. Have you seen any changes in terms of the properties that people are looking for? Like I know some people. I've heard of people that wanted, for instance, to get out of the city, or people that what are the changes in terms of what people are looking for?
Absolutely. So you have some people that obviously, because if they're going to be confined, they're going to be in a quarantine. They want something with a bit of a bigger space, especially some outdoors. So you have some people, yes, they want to be out in a finca or in a countryside house, but sometimes then the domicilios and getting out of that part of town to get back into the central Medellin for banking and for some other reasons might be a little bit more difficult. So you have some pros and some cons. Yes, you could get some nice outdoors being in a finca, but then you're very limited to your Rappi deliveries. So you have pros and cons.
Thank you.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So to Carlos's question in regards to Medellin proper, have you seen any changes insofar as where people would want to rent, be it in the Poblado area versus, say, like Laureles? Any changes?
Well, the only changes that you see that a lot of these properties that at a certain time were maybe a little bit too expensive for some people have become accessible now. So now a penthouse that used to rent for 7-8 million pesos might be around 5 million. So you got this beautiful rooftop with a view of Medellin. So now it's affordable. So it really depends on the pocket of each client of what he's really looking for. So a lot of these properties in Poblado have become more feasible.
I think to Jay's question is the fact that I think people movement is not really driven by taste right now. I think most people just want to, a place to stay while this, comes and finishes. So I think we're going to start seeing that if there is any movement to other areas later on. But for now, I think it's too early to tell, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying, Juan, because in the U.S., I mean, people, from what I hear, they are migrating, say, from like the denser urban areas into the rural, more country areas. So that was my follow-up question to what's happening in Medellin, Colombia.
Okay, like I mentioned, yes, you will see some people that are going to try to maybe leave these more densely populated cities, especially as we see what's happening in New York, maybe Bogota, maybe some of these more densely populated cities. But the good news is, if you guys have really been following up with Medellin and Antioquia, the way that they've handled this situation, it's been phenomenal. It's great news. Plus, the medical facilities that we have in the city are so good. Medellin is just going to be popping up on the map again for everybody, just in terms of how our mayor is using technology, how the Paisa culture is really kept the spread of this virus from continuing, and that always that proudness and that pride that a Paisa has of moving forward, of making the best out of a situation. We came out of a hard situation in the 80s and the 90s. Now we have this current situation. I have no doubt that we will make the best of it and we will come out. So Medellin is going to be a place to be.
Thank you, John. It's good to clarify that John is not affiliated with the government. He's just a proud Paisa, as we are all here. But thank you, John. Any other questions?
Yes, I've got a question about rentals, longer-term rentals for like retirees that want to come down and check out Medellin for 1 or 2 months, as opposed to the tourists that just come for a week or two.
Okay, for those longer-term clients, yes, there's plenty of long-term clients right now, and those who will be coming. Obviously, we'll continue to look for the positive things that we offer here in the city, the climate, the healthcare coverage. So those clients that will be coming in the next few months will be seeing a great opportunity, great options, very good apartments that will be opening up. These apartments will slowly start getting booked. Right now, I would say that of the 40 properties that we manage, we're doing around 60 to 70%, despite the quarantine and everything being locked down. That's supremely well. And the few apartments that we still have open, they're being looked at and they're being negotiated. So as the offer and demand market looks like, it's a great time for you guys that are abroad to come over to Medellin and take advantage of that, of these apartments that are on good deals. So we're looking at a very good market.
Especially when we were prepping this discussion this week, we came to the conclusion one of the best things is that you guys, I mean, the people that earn foreign currency, US or euros, for example, are obviously, you guys are in a much better position than most people here. And as a result, if there is any opportunities that could emerge from this situation, you will be better prepared to take advantage of those. And we're hoping you guys as client of ours do. So yeah, another thing, any other questions to John or Lorena?
How much do you get charged?
All right. We didn't get that. All right.
Yeah. There's another question. I think it was from David. I actually to clarify something too. When he asked about the difference between buying when you're a tourist, just a tourist, or when you're a resident or you hold a visa, I was thinking about the position where my clients were and what made you get the visas, because there's not much difference about the legal parts, or if you can or you cannot own. It's pretty similar to both of them. The Colombian government is really open to those foreign investment, and I think in real estate they know the money will stay here for long term. So the biggest reason why most people do it first is if they plan to stay here for more than 6 months. I think that's number one reason. But the second one is the insurance. Healthcare in Medellin is very good. So they know that if they're staying here, they could pay a very low premium and get that insurance, and only they can qualify if they have a visa. So those are the two reasons why most people will convert from just being a tourist and being here 6 months, which is pretty long time. Most people are just here those 6 months, to convert to a resident or to a migrant. Okay.
I got you. I appreciate that. The last couple of years, I've been keeping it just under 80 days, and I want to consider my alternatives. So for me, the big concern would obviously be the tax implications, and I'm going to take an offline
absolutely. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions before we finish this session?
Sorry, Juan, I just have a quick question for John about the profile of the people that are going there. Are you seeing like more retirees or more entrepreneurs, or more like, has it changed at all in terms of the mix of people that are that you see in the rental market?
Well, as Juan mentioned it, we're going to be seeing a lot more digital nomads be coming down here. Retirees we've seen for the last maybe 5 years, as the bigger companies here had promoted Medellin as a place to come and retire, like live and invest overseas, etc. But we're also going to see the increase of these younger millennials that are more adventurous and will be coming down here as their jobs allow them to look for those places where to live. So we will be seeing, and we are targeting strongly those digital nomads. That's the type of clients that we really want to focus on a lot.
Thank you.
No problem.
Can I ask a general question about Medellin right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just wondering, because I left before this all started to happen, and I'll be back in September. What's the social thing going on? Because in Toronto or in Europe, you know, people have a little bit of money. Nobody's starving to death. But in a poorer country like Colombia, I'm just wondering, are people starving? Or is there going to be a revolution? How much longer can this go on?
Does anyone have anything to address that? Any view? Because I think for right now it could be very subject per person view on that situation.
If you wish, I'll share a little bit on it. I think Colombia is a country that I think 50% of the people live on a day-by-day basis, so they don't work for a company. So a lot of these people, as their last savings are running out, as their businesses, a lot of people have their own business, are to the point of going bankrupt. You will start seeing more and more, let's say, either riots or people protesting. We've seen them in a couple of places all throughout Colombia, a couple of people protesting. But the government is looking and observing, and you see that they're slowly opening up the businesses and the markets. But as I said, 50% of these people live on a day-by-day basis, and it's really hard and strenuous on them. We're seeing, especially the neglected areas of Colombia, Chocó, Amazonas, Guajira, they will be more heavily affected. But the good news is that there's, I forget the numbers, like 800 small towns and cities that will be slowly opening up as they have had no COVID cases. And I think Medellin will also be opening up very positively their businesses. But in terms of social unrest and stuff like that, it's still very early to tell. Maybe within a month or two, we'll see a little bit more of what happens in that sense.
Gracias,
Pleasure.
guys.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
right,
John.
Yep.
Hi. Hola.
Okay.
Hi, John from Barcelona.
Hey, Ralph.
Rafael.
Rafael, eso.
Yeah. Hola. What's the average margin profit for rental property?
For in terms of rental?
Yeah.
Okay.
Average.
In a long-term rental, you could be looking between being very conservative, a 6 to a 10%. 10% if you have a very good property, it's well located with views, nicely furnished. and doing good in terms of occupancy. In terms of a short-term rental, you could be looking between 15 to 20%, depending on again your location and your pricing in
Yeah,
that
but
sense.
for short term, is allowed to rent in short term.
If you're not in a if you're not in a residential building and you have the RNT, you could do short-term rentals.
Okay. Okay.
And there's some new developments that allow short-term rentals as they have, access to that permission from the beginning as well.
Yeah, so you got to look at your bylaws of the building that or the property that you're looking to buy into, if they allow short-term rentals.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Gracias.
Okay. Anyone else before we finish?
Are you guys able to pay for your property management services, the collections in USD?
Okay, I think I understood the question. The profit that you make off your rental, right?
Correct.
So yes, we collect the money here in pesos, but some owners, if an owner, let's say, wants to be paid in USD, that's not a problem. We could PayPal you into your US account, and we could pay you in USD. Obviously, we would either have to convert the money that we've been paid in pesos into dollars, or we could work with the client and see if there's a way that he could just pay us through PayPal, and then that same money, we just send it to you, and that way it's not affected in any way by the currency.
Okay. All right. I think it's time, and thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate this space that you guys have all collected to make, and thank you for participating. I hope you can have a nice lunch after this. This was about 1.5 hours, and you guys deserve a good lunch. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for
Been a
assisting. Thank you
pleasure.
for guests.
Hasta luego.
Thank you.
Hasta luego. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.